Welcome to this week's episode of Talk of the Town. My name's Philip Swicegood, and I am back with my good friend and co-host, Dr. Kenneth Harper from Vein Specialist of the South. Now, if you have questions about your veins, maybe you saw a new vein that you just need to get a little bit of clarity on, give my friends at Vein Specialist of the South a call, and they will get you the answers that you deserve. But if that just doesn't work for your schedule, if you don't have time to make an appointment, there's now a brand new, more convenient way to get answers, and that's by going to virtualvein.com. Again, virtualvein.com, answer 6 easy questions, and our team of experts will get you the answers that you need. Now, if you're one of our brand new viewers on 13 WMAZ, and you're wondering, what in the world is Talk of the Town? Here's what you can expect week in and week out. A conversation between me, Dr. Harper, and someone in the community that you need to know about. This week is no exception, as we are here in the home of local Macon music legend, that is Miss Susan McDuffie. Susan, how are you?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me here.
A lot of our viewers probably know you, Susan, but some may not. So we'll talk a little bit about your musical heritage. I think you grew up in Macon. You went to Wesleyan College. You went to the American Conservatory of Music in Chicago. And somehow you wound your way back here. So we were talking a little earlier, and there's a little love story with that. Is that correct? That we have to thank for you, your career being here, making Macon and Middle Georgia better with music. So tell us a little bit about how you wound up coming back to Macon from Chicago.
I really went up temporarily to Chicago, the American Conservatory, and then I came back to Wesleyan to teach, and that's how I met my husband. And when I saw him, I was out on an evening of fun, and I saw him, and I said, "I'm going to marry that man."
The first thing she said when she saw him that she's going to marry him. I love that story.
I thought I was going to marry him. And then I would be at the bank one day, and I would see him, and I would be somewhere else, and there he
It was meant to be, right?
It was meant to be, and we got to speak to one another. And then I was in Chichester's pharmacy. It was the College Hill Pharmacy, and he was checking the stock. He was a druggist, pharmacist. And so Buzz Chichester introduced us, and that was it. And so I didn't go back to the next year to the conservatory.
So Macon, Middle Georgia has Bill McDuffie to thank you for being here.
It's Chichester.
And that's Chichester Pharmacy. So I knew you would like to know that story, but let's talk about music.
Okay.
You told me that you were 3 years old when you sat down and played your first piano piece. Tell us about that.
Well, it was a little easy piece, and I picked it out by ear, and I put the left-hand chords with it. Didn't know what I was doing, but I was playing it correctly. So that was it. I was 3 years old.
And what did your parents say?
There was a lot of music in the family, so they just didn't think too much about it. So of course, they would have me play for everybody. Listen to my daughter play.
For those of us who might have been encouraged to play the piano by our parents, and maybe never could play by ear, tell us, how in the world does somebody play by ear, and how do you know if you can do it?
Well, playing by ear, it just comes naturally.
Right.
And so, but when you study piano, it's nice to have the ear, but you have to learn to read the notes.
So you do both.
I did both.
Right. Do you practice a lot?
Yeah, quite a bit. Well, not as much as I should have.
Whenever I pulled up, I actually heard the piano going, so I can vouch that she actually does practice.
After that debut at 3 years old, when did you kind of really get the bug? You think, I think this is something I really want to put a lot of effort into.
Well, my parents put me with a piano teacher, and I wanted to play everything by ear. So she gave up on me.
You drove her crazy. Did she fire you?
She fired me.
She fired you. Miss McDuffie was fired by her first music teacher. So
I started back when I was 9, and so she taught me really well. She taught me how to read the notes and do it all.
So what, if you were looking out there, what are the benefits of exposing children to music at a young age?
I music is very, very important. It just helps them. It helps them in all their music studies and everything else. It's just something they will have that nobody else would have, and they just seem to excel better in just about everything.
Wonderful. Susan, I want to ask you about your time here in Macon, but before I do that, we need to take a quick commercial break and hear a word from our sponsor.
I'm a certified health coach who loves helping others. My personal health journey started a little over a year ago. I began by walking, then I started playing pickleball. After losing over 100 pounds, my legs were still bothering me because of pain and bulging veins. I needed help, and all my friends recommended Vein Specialists of the South. I learned at my appointment that vein disease only gets worse without treatment and didn't realize how bad my vein problems were. But the VSS team was there to help and customized a treatment plan that fits my active lifestyle. Every staff member I met during my procedure was informative and caring. They even played my favorite music. My legs looked and felt better right after my procedure. Just a few weeks after my procedure, I was back on the courts doing what I love. If you want better looking and feeling legs, it's time to call the best, Vein Specialist of the South.
Piedmont Macon is proud to be your partner in healthcare, in business and in the community. From our 2 convenient hospitals and ERs, our cardiac program, women's services, and urgent care centers, we provide Middle Georgians with comprehensive care close to home. Our goal is to empower you through great care that's simplified, unified, and easier than ever to access. Our mission is to make a positive difference in every life we touch. We want to be part of your family and your life and to make our community a better place to live.
So, Susan, before I ask you about your music career, I want to ask you about Macon. You know, one of the reasons that Dr. Harper and I do this show is because we're lifelong Maconites, and we're really passionate about the community and about seeing Macon move forward and really just sharing all of the great stories of all the wonderful things that happen here in our community. It sounds like that you've been in Macon for a while. What excites you the most about Macon right now?
Just everything. And I just think the progress that they're making in all facets of the city. And all the music and the theater and I think it's wonderful what they're doing.
So to see the Macon Symphony back, in cooperation with Mercer and the McDuffie Center for Strings, which you have a little relationship.
There's a little relationship there. That's right.
I made him practice.
Yeah. And we have interviewed your son, Bobby McDuffie, and people can see that video if they want to go back and look at it. But even the Macon Pops.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So there are so many things and the live music
I know.
of all genres that are in town. Macon is a really big music town.
It is.
Has been,
It is.
and will be. One of the reasons is because of people like you. Right.
And, you know, and it's one of those things, I think, whenever you talk to people that are new to town and you ask them about a lot of the growth that Macon has seen, inevitably one of the things that they will mention is music. Just like you said, it might be the Macon Pops, it might be the McDuffie Institute downtown, it might be something with Mercer, but music is always such a core element of who we are. And even decades ago, it was a really big part of who Macon was, and we produced a lot of incredible musicians. Now, you went to, it was Wesleyan, correct?
I went to Wesleyan.
Wonderful. Tell me about your time at Wesleyan.
I had a wonderful time. We just had just a great time. A wonderful teacher and wonderful friends, and it's just a great music school. Well, it's good in everything, but I went mainly for the music program. Majored in piano, performance, and organ.
So speaking of the organ, I've got to ask you a dumb question. Okay.
Okay.
This is a dumb question. Please forgive me. How much of a difference is there between playing a piano and playing an organ?
Well, in the organ, with the organ, you have all of your stops to pull out, but you got to know which stop. And you play with your feet.
Okay.
Also, you have a pedal board that you play with your feet. The piano, a lot of people think they can just play the piano. And if you hit a key, that's right. That's not so. It's the way you approach the piano. It's to make a certain sound that you want.
Really? And is that in like specifically
Right.
how hard you're hitting the key, or how?
Well, it's a certain way. If you want to have a melodic sound, you have to approach it with your fingers, doing a certain way to make make it sound the right way.
Dr. Harper, I think that's the first time melodic has been used on Talk of the Town. So I set a new
I think
first here
so.
today, you know?
And there are a few pedals down there on the floor on the piano, right? What do they do?
Well, you got a soft pedal, yours
Yeah.
softer. And then you have the one on the right is the damper pedal. It's supposed to be legato, like everything connected. That helps. And then if you want to hold a sound while you're playing something else, you use the middle pedal, which is the sostenido pedal.
Susan, Dr. Harper mentioned earlier about how music is so important for young people growing up. And it's really unfortunate because today we're actually seeing in a lot of school systems that music is one of the first things that's actually cut. And that's a very sad reality.
It is, but a lot of these schools are bringing it back.
And that's wonderful. That's fantastic. But let me ask you this. If a child is interested in playing music, do you think a piano is the best instrument to push them towards?
Yes, I think regardless of what instrument you choose, I think the piano, it's just not that they're going to be a professional pianist, but piano would be the instrument to begin. And it makes the other instruments so much easier.
So it's a good foundational
It's a
piece.
foundation. Mhm.
Wonderful. And that's one of the great things about, if you or I had learned to play music growing up, we could still be doing that today. You know what I mean? That's one of those lifelong skill sets you can have.
It's something nobody can ever take away from you.
So you have a pretty large family musical heritage, and so I've always wondered if everybody's around, if Baxter's here and Marjorie's here and Bobby and the other kids, the grandchildren, do y'all play the piano and sing, or what? What do y'all?
We have
What's
done.
that like?
We did a program that the Morning Music Club sponsored back in 2017 at Wesleyan. Bobby was in town. He played, and he and Baxter played together. Baxter did the guitar, and Bobby was the violin.
Now tell them Bobby plays.
Bobby
For
plays.
they don't know, just tell them
Bobby plays the violin.
he's a world-class violinist
Well,
with a very famous violin, right? And Baxter plays
the guitar, and he
And-
sings.
in rock and roll.
Right, he does.
Right.
He does. And Marjorie is a classical pianist, and she's on the faculty at the University of Montana. But and then her girls were playing, and then I played. I played with the girls, and I played with Marjorie, and so it was called a family affair. So we did on
You did.
the Porter Auditorium at Wesleyan.
So do you have some events coming up that you would like to share? People might want to come and hear you play.
Okay, in February, my daughter and I are doing a whole program of piano duets and then duos with and we're going to do it at Mercer,
Right.
February the 29th. And then we're taking the program to Montana, where she is, and we're going to do a performance there and some other nearby cities.
So you could see it in Macon, or you could
So-
go to Montana. That's
That's
a nice
right.
trip. You could
Or you
see
can
it
do
there.
both, you know?
Yeah, or both. You probably see it in Macon. You want to see all the rest of them. So you do jazz too,
Do
right?
a lot of jazz.
Looking back on your career, do you wish you had done a little more jazz?
Well, I think if I had been born in maybe your generation or something, I would have been a jazz pianist. Because I don't have to think when I do that kind of music. You have to think when you do Chopin and Brahms and Beethoven and
Can you explain to us what is jazz piano?
well, anything that's pop that you, I mean, like even the Allman Brothers don't do jazz, but they call it jazz.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
sometimes a true jazz, I shouldn't call myself a jazz pianist. I like to play pop music and jazz combined. A true jazz pianist goes off on a tangent
Okay.
and you wonder where they're going next. And sometimes I wonder where I'm going if I'm playing.
Dr. Harper and I are good at tangents on the show, you know?
Yeah, right. That's good.
So,
Right.
but it's fun. It's fun to play. But I remember when I was a little girl and I would be practicing, and when I get through practicing, I would play jazz. And my daddy said, nice girls don't play that kind of music. And now they're the ones that are really raking it in.
You said you could have been like Alicia Keys, right?
Alicia Keys was it.
Right.
And Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
So tell us a little bit about some of our people watching may be interested in how they could get involved in local music, whether it's in music clubs, and you've been involved in those.
Right.
Could you share a little bit about the
Just back-
opportunities out there?
Well, if they want to teach, we have the Macon Music Teachers Association and a lot of wonderful teachers in the area. And they can contact the president of the Macon Music Teachers, or they can contact me. I can tell
If
them.
they were looking for a teacher, they could call and find
right. They could,
recommendations for a
we
teacher
can-
too.
and some of them might have openings and some might not. But
Right.
but they could and the Macon Civic Chorale. I mean, if they want to sing in a wonderful organization, that's great. I think Stanley Roberts conducted it for quite a while, but now Dr. Gerber, who's the new dean at Mercer, is doing it.
Right.
So if they want to belong to a great choral group, it's a wonderful choral group.
Now, you've taught thousands of people how to play the
Probably, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I've
So,
taught everybody in Macon.
Tell us about Barrett. Tell Barrett's story.
Barrett Ham, oh, well, he's just smart all around. One of the finest piano students I have ever had. I mean, he was just terrific. He was also a great clarinet player. He studied with Monty Cole here. And so he went to the school in New England Conservatory. He went there and I think he double majored in clarinet. And
He went to FPD, I think.
He
didn't
did. He went
Right.
to FPD. So then he got jobs playing in different orchestras. And so he was in San Francisco. And so he called me one day and he said, she called him Miss Susan, I have a chance to audition for the New York Philharmonic. I said, what? And he said there were about 100 and something applicants, and they narrowed it down to 100, less than 150 and 25, and then 10, and then he was one of 6, and they were going to let him play with the New York Philharmonic. And then after he played, he called me and he said, I'm playing with the full time. That's my job. So
Wow.
isn't that wonderful? But he plays the piano just as well as he did.
He was playing the clarinet with
The clarinet, right. But he could do the piano just as well. And then I had one, I think I told you that earlier, that he'd been in Juilliard overnight, but he became an ophthalmologist. But he plays for all medical conventions in Columbia, South Carolina, and plays for his church. So they call on him to play piano.
So you've
And-
been involved with a lot of church music over your career.
Right.
And many churches have been blessed by you
Thank
playing.
you. Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about
Well,
church.
I was the organist and music director at First Presbyterian. I think that's your church, right? And for 23 years. And I thought, well, I think I've been here maybe long enough. And they let me be on the search committee for the new music director.
Huh.
And that was just wonderful. We just had the best time, had wonderful voices, and we did great music. And I told them I would do it if we could have a paid quartet so we could do the big works like Messiah and the Brahms Requiem and the Shooter's Christmas Story and the Saint-Saëns Christmas Oratorio. And so it was just wonderful.
Now you're a guest artist in many churches now, aren't
Well,
you? Organist.
I substitute. The thing about it, all organs are different, but they're all wonderful. So when I substitute, I really have to spend a lot of time going to get used to all the different organs.
So I'm
But,
curious, how many organs are in Middle Georgia?
oh my gosh, a lot.
Fewer than there used to. I mean, they're not as many as there used to be.
No,
Right.
no, a lot of people are going into keyboard and more
Right.
contemporary music.
Yeah.
But most of your big churches here have beautiful organs.
Huh.
And I've been very fortunate to be asked to play, even at St. Joseph's, the Catholic Church, and all of them. It's a wonderful organ.
Right.
It's up in the balcony. I sort of liked it because I was away from everybody.
There you go.
We already talked about how many students you've taught,
Mm-hmm.
but you won a special award for teaching. So tell us about that award and how you found out about it.
Okay. I had a notice that I had been named the Georgia Music Teacher of the Year. And that was just so thrilling. And then I got an email from the national teacher, the head of the National Music Teachers Association. And I thought he was congratulating me on being the Georgia music teacher. So I email my daughter, and I said, "Well, Marjorie, I got this notice from the head man there. Mama, that's the national.
You got the National
That
Teacher
was
of
their
the Year
national
award.
national teacher
So
award. But the Macon music teachers are the ones that nominated me, and I'm grateful for them. They're just wonderful, wonderful people,
so you're also part of the have been president of the Macon Symphony Orchestra.
right? And we sold out the house,
Yeah.
and so it was great. It had a wonderful board. I was a lot younger then. Oh,
You know, but it's busy people that get things done, though, right?
every
Then
time someone
that's
would see me and they say, "Oh, Susan, here's my credit card. Take it and get right back to me. I will belong to the symphony." So we had, and that's when Adrian got on.
yeah. You know, people are maybe wondering, is my child a prodigy? Maybe, or
Well, I
and
knew right
actually
off
you've
the
had
bat.
2 prodigies at least, and more than that, really. But how did you determine that? And
All right. Bobby and his sister Kathy were 21 months apart. And so Kathy was doing piano with me, and Bobby could pick out some pieces on the piano. And I thought, well, that kind of ear that he could do, he needs to take the violin. So we had a Hungarian refugee that came to Macon to teach the public schools. And so he started teaching Bobby. And Bobby, I knew he had something just really, really special. And as a matter of fact, he was concertmaster of the school orchestra when he was 7 years old. And
Bobby?
Bobby, Juilliard heard about him when he was 12 and wanted us to send him up to New York. And I said, not that young. So but he did go up later on. But I knew that he, with that keen ear and of course, Mr. Schwartzberger, I've always said that Hungarians are sort of born with violins in their hands. So Bobby said that Mr. Schwarzenberger taught him how to play like a gypsy, but he went to Juilliard to learn how to count. But no, we knew. I mean, he was playing in church when he was 7 and 8 and 9 years old. I mean, just beautiful. I mean, concertos. I have a picture of him playing with the at the Wesleyan alumni meeting when he was 8 years old, and he was playing a violin concerto at that age. And now Kathy, she just didn't take to piano. Or we hoped she would. I was expecting too much of her because she was the first child. But and then when Marjorie came along, when she was 4 years old, we put her with Gladys Pinkston, who was just a wonderful piano teacher. But Miss Pinkston and I both taught her, and so.
So is it okay to push your child toward music? And at what time should you give them that choice? You know,
I think you should give all of them a chance.
Right.
And if it doesn't work, I mean,
It's okay.
it's okay.
Right.
It's okay.
Yeah. Right.
And I've only had one that I didn't, I felt like he should be doing something else.
You fired it. You fired a student. Did you? Do you really have to fire a student? You can't say the name.
I will not say the name
Yeah.
because he's one of my best friends. His mother's one of my very best friends.
So at least she was nice about it, it sounds like.
But he was good. He is good at a lot of things, but the piano wasn't his thing.
That's right. That's right. Just one and loves music.
Yeah.
Loves music, but
Wonderful.
I think what was so much fun with me was playing those jazz things with Bobby. Did you know Bobby Lee Smith? So he was an astute businessman who loved to sing, and we would go on trips together with the whole group of us, a combo, and went to Florida, we went to Alabama and Highlands.
Well, Susan, thanks so much for sitting down and having this conversation with you. Time just flies by when we're talking about music and having a good time with stuff like this. We really appreciate it.
But thank you, enjoyed it.
And stay tuned for where me and Dr. Harper might show up next. You never know where it might be.
I'm a mom and a professional outside sales representative, always on the go. I enjoy spending time working in my yard, shopping, and going on long walks. After being pregnant with my second child, I was left with terrible varicose veins in both legs. This caused heaviness, pain, and swelling, which I dealt with for years, but it was more of a cosmetic issue. I wanted great-looking legs. Then a friend told me about Vein Specialist of the South. This office wasn't what I expected. They listened to my concerns, and the staff were extremely caring and informative about the procedure and what to expect. Plus, the procedure had minimal downtime. Since having the procedure, my legs feel amazing, and I have my youthful legs back. I would have addressed it years ago if I'd have known how easy it was. If you want 5-star vein care, I encourage you to call Vein Specialist of the South today.